Hare Krishna, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We continue reading from Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-Lila. We are on chapter 7. Chapter 7, text 118. We have been reading the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We'll continue to read it. I'll just read the translation. Besides these inferior energies, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So Lord Chaitanya is speaking this verse from Bhagavad Gita, which Krishna spoke to Arjuna. The supreme cause is Krishna, Janmadi Asya Yadaha, who is the origin of all energies which work variously. So God is called omnipotent. Omnipotent means He has all the energies. All the energies God has. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has both inferior and superior energies. And the difference between them is that the superior energy is factual, whereas the inferior energy is a reflection of the superior. So because God is omnipotent, He has all different kind of energies. He has His internal energy, the spiritual energy, and He has the external energy, which is called the material energy. The material energy is a reflection of the superior energy, of the spiritual energy. A reflection of the sun in a mirror on water appears to be the sun, but it is not. Similarly, the material world is but a reflection of the spiritual world. For example, we stand in front of the mirror, we see our reflection. But if someone begins to think that our reflection is the reality and neglects us and tries to, speak with the reflection or have some relationship with the reflection, the person is not going to get much ras. He's not going to be able to enjoy any ras with it, because it's, after all, just a reflection, Reflection cannot reciprocate with us. This is how the material world is. Similarly, the material world is but a reflection of the spiritual world. So we are thinking this reflection is a reality, but the reality is the spiritual world. Although it appears to be factual, it is not. It is only a temporary reflection, whereas the spiritual world is a factual reality. So our real life is in the spiritual world. Right now we are thinking, what do you mean? My real life is here. This is my name. This is my surname. I belong to this family. I have these parents. I have these siblings. I have this spouse. I have these children. Whatever. But this is all a reflection. All this is temporary. We are not the body. We are the soul. So our real life is in the spiritual world. Our real identity is in the spiritual world. And we say, what do you mean your real identity is in the spiritual world? Are you being psychotic? I am, and this is my name, and I'm here right now with you. Yes, but this identity belongs to the body, not to the soul. So once we give up this body, then what happens? Then because we have not understood our real spiritual identity, we are taking on another material identity. So that's the reason we are encouraged to understand our spiritual identity in this life, because in human life it's possible to do that. The material world, with its gross and subtle forms, is merely a reflection of the spiritual world. The living entity is not a product of the material energy. He is spiritual energy. But in contact with matter, he forgets his identity. We have lived here in this material world since time immemorial. And so that's why we think, when we think of I, we think of the body. We think we are the body. Thus, the living entity identifies himself with matter and enthusiastically engages in material activities in the guises of a technologist, scientist, philosopher, etc. He does not know that he is not at all a material product, but is spiritual. His real identity thus being lost, he struggles very hard in the material world. This hard struggle for existence in the material world is called karshati. Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama vamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasastani indriyani. And because of the mind that we are, because of this struggle for existence. Although we are Krishna's eternal parts and parcels, we are struggling here very hard in the material world. And the Hare Krishna movement or Krishna consciousness movement is trying to revive his original consciousness. So we think we are the body, but our original consciousness is Krishna consciousness. And this is what the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to tell us. Help us revive our original consciousness. His activities in manufacturing big skyscrapers are evidence of intelligence. But this kind of intelligence is not at all advanced. He should know that his only real concern is to get free from material contact. For by absorbing his mind in material activities, he takes material bodies again and again. And although he falsely claims to be very intelligent in material consciousness, he is not at all intelligent. Modern civilization is like that. We say that right now we are the most intelligent, that earlier ages man was just a stone man. What's that called? Caveman, Stone Age. That man was not developed, consciousness was not developed, man was an animal before. Now we are all the most intelligent, we have evolved into intelligent beings. All this is just propaganda by a few people. If we see the history if we read from the Shastras, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, there are stories of 5,000 years ago. And we can see that there was a great intelligence there, great planning of cities, and so much opulence. And then the Puranas are there, which are of the other ages. Ramayana, we can hear, that's of millions of years ago. It's not that man was animal before and now he's intelligent. By saying that, in fact, we are being unintelligent. Have we ever seen a monkey turn into a man? Never experienced it. So, what is the correct use of intelligence? If we can try to understand that, let me use this body to get out of the material world. If we can use our intelligence to understand, seems something wrong here. Doesn't seem that I'm the body. Seems like I'm, different than the body. Let me try to inquire. That is correct use of intelligence. Now, does it mean that we should not take care of the body? No, of course, we need to take care of the body. And as the society is progressing, let it progress. What we can do is use the tools that we have been given in Krishna's service. We don't have to become take up a cause or stop all this economic development. No, that's not our business. Our business is to understand Krishna, to revive our love of God as soon as possible and get out of here as soon as possible. Our mission is not to fight with another person. Hey, why you are, being unintelligent and you should follow this and that. No, just we should hear and chant, engage everything in service of Krishna, revive our love of Krishna. When we speak about the Krishna consciousness movement, which is meant to make people intelligent, the conditioned living entity therefore misunderstands it. He's so engrossed in the material concept of life that he does not think there can be any activities that are actually based on intelligence beyond the construction of skyscrapers and big roads and the manufacturing of cars. This is proof of Maya Yapahrata Gyan, or loss of all intelligence due to the influence of Maya. So many people are not willing to take up hearing and chanting. Not many people are willing to take up Krishna consciousness because they think that intelligence is only in economic development. So when a living entity is freed from such misconceptions, he is called liberated. When one is actually liberated, he no longer identifies with the material world. The symptom of mukti, liberation, is that one engages in spiritual activities instead of falsely engaging in material activities. So a pure devotee is liberated even while living in this material world. Why? Because his activities are all spiritual. He's doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. So even though living in the material world, he is liberated. Prabhupada gives the example that if we are living in a country and we abide by the laws of that country, we don't need to be put in prison. We are not subject to the laws of the prison, although the prison is there in the country. Similarly, a pure devotee, because his interest is that same as the interest of God, so he is above the nature's laws. He's liberated even while living in this world. Is that okay? We'll stop here for today. Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Shilpa ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.